What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Faithful Fanatic Show. We are live here on DSM-Media's Philadelphia Twitter and YouTube channel, guys. Same way we start off each and every one of our live streams. Do yourself a favor, do us a favor. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at DSM_media. Check out the link tree in our bio. It will take you to every other social media platform we are available on. If you guys want to be interactive throughout today's show, like my man D-Rab is doing here in the comments, make sure to check out the YouTube link specifically. Smash that subscribe button. Like the video, share it with your friends, family, any other Eagles or Philly sports fans that you know of. We are live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, as well as over the weekends for pregame shows. So we're live pretty often throughout the week. So make sure to tap in, subscribe if you want to join this great little community we have built each and every night. I'm one half your host, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. Eagles, Packers, midweek wildcard preview, man. We're not going to so much get into the keys to this game and how and why the Eagles are going or could beat the Green Bay Packers on Sunday afternoon. This is going to be a reflection period. It's going to be looking back at the differences between the week one matchup and win the Eagles had in Brazil over Green Bay and what needs to take place or what needs to happen, the same, change, whatever, in this upcoming matchup on Sunday, and looking at back on this Packers season, my man. But happy hump day. We haven't done a hump day show in a little while.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Happy hump day, man. I texted you last night. It only felt right that we get a show in, especially during the first week of the playoffs. I know everybody's just amped up. We got some good news today. Jalen out of the concussion protocol or whatever, practicing.
All those
like come on. That's one thing over the last week or so. You know, the thing with these national pundits, man, do some goddamn research. Like I'm not an NFL insider,
players,
but I can go and read an article on the internet, or I can go and read a guy's post to understand how the concussion protocol works, to understand what the Eagles' practice schedule, what they might be working on. So it's just crazy that I think that is a good example that shows you they don't do that much research. You got your statisticians like our guy Embo that puts it down for the get up, right? He gets into all the research with that. But they don't be fact checking half of the reports that they be putting out there. And that's what I got from this whole concussion thing, because not a single person has a clue. Even Adam Schefter was putting out some false stuff out there. So
it's crazy.
It's crazy to me, man.
It really is crazy because it's former players, it's former coaches, GMs, people like Adam Schefter and other guys that have covered, this league and this sport longer than you and I have probably been alive. And like you said, like just do a little bit of research. But again, those shows nowadays, that's the shitty part, because I do like listening to at least some of those people.
I do too.
It's more reality television, dude. It's more let's yell at each other and create these storylines and get clicks and get views. The same thing. There's a lot of stuff going on over at Fox Sports, but aside from that, right now, I mean, you got Emmanuel Acho talking about we don't know what Jalen Hurts really is in the playoffs. He's only played in 5 playoff games, and the next day ranking him 1 out of 7 starting quarterbacks in the NFC that he trusts the most.
So
what does that mean? Like, you just told us you don't know what he is in the postseason, but now he's the guy you trust the most in the postseason in the NFC. So it's 1,000%, dude. It's clickbait. It's rage bait, all that different stuff. And I fall for it all the time. I fall for the power rankings.
Absolutely.
I fall for the little 1 through 5 rankings, little jabs. I fall for it all.
You brought it up. PFF running back rankings, brother. Did you catch that one?
I think so.
Henry was first. What do you think? Because I'm going to tell you what it is if you don't know. I'm curious what you think.
It wasn't Saquon 1, right?
Dumb. What I saw, fact check me out there. I saw 10. I saw him rated the 10th best running back. This is PFF ratings, not numbers or rankings or anything like that. It was a rating.
Right.
And he was 10th on the list behind guys like Bucky Irvin and shit.
That's good stuff. Whatever their calculators produce, man.
Them calculate what type of equation are you putting in that Saquon Barkley comes out the 10th?
It's good stuff. It's good television. It's good.
Yeah.
Sports. Good conversation, but
Clickbait.
we'll try to
Clickbait
bring
to the
some of
point.
that here today. Now, if you are a Packers fan or an Eagles hater, you probably aren't going to like the things I have to say today and throughout the week. So to each their own, I guess. But let's just glance back at this year, man. Let's take it all the way back to week one. And if you guys have followed Scotty and I for the past 2 or so years, if you really followed over this past summer, when we were talking about this Eagles roster, this Eagles team, if you followed us on Turf Talk, talking about other National Football League teams, outside of Philadelphia, I probably talked about the Green Bay Packers the most in the NFL, and not for good reason. I was not one of those people that was on board with the Green Bay Packers. Now, they had a hell of a season. They had a hell of a season. They almost won the division with 2 weeks to go. They had a really good season. Almost.
Hell of a season.
But irony,
giving them hella props.
Irony is a beautiful thing, because as infuriated as I was hearing and listening to people just spout these crazy things about the Green Bay Packers getting to a Super Bowl and talking about these weapons they have on offense and talking about Jordan Love as he's a proven commodity, the Green Bay Packers season gets to begin and end at the hands of the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's a beautiful thing. Now, this could get clipped, and a couple days from now, I look like the biggest jackass walking South Jersey. I don't think that's going to happen, but it just is a beautiful thing, man. So let's take a look at back at that week one matchup, that 34-29 victory in Brazil, because people forgot that game happened, evidently, Scotty. What do you want to get into first, man? The differences between Green Bay from then and now, or the differences in this Philly team from then and now? Because they both are two different equations.
Let's go Packers first, man.
Start with the opponent?
Yeah. Let's look at them first.
And the reason I bring that up, man, is because they came into the season with a lot of hype, and they played the Eagles. I mean, they turned Jalen Hurts over a couple times. Yep. They had a chance. They had the ball at the end of the game with a chance to go win, even without Jordan Love in the game. It's not so much the Packers at the beginning of the year. To me, I'm looking at where that Green Bay team was. I'm looking at where that Green Bay team was in the last 5 games of 2023 versus going into Dallas versus where they are in the last 5 or so games coming into this postseason, because this is a very, very different state of a Green Bay Packers team. Jordan Love is not playing nearly the same ball as he was at this time last year. And they're injured, man. I think that's the biggest thing. And that doesn't tell the whole story, but you're talking about key valuable pieces. You go back and watch clips from week one. I mean, Jair Alexander is making plays. Christian Watson's catching a touchdown. Those guys aren't playing. And those are two staples on each side, on the outside of their team. But yeah, I don't think this Green Bay team is playing nearly enough, their best ball to try to come into Philly and come away with a win like they did against Dallas, man. But when you look back at the beginning of this year and you go back to that week one matchup, what to you is the biggest difference in this Packers team?
Honestly, man, I think confidence. I think when you're in week one, you can come in with a sense of confidence of this is the beginning of the year. This is what we're looking at. These are the expectations. To your point, they come out of last season. They go in, they beat Dallas in Dallas, right? Surprise everyone on that front. Jordan Love lets everybody know his name. So coming into this season, there was expectations. Yeah, we're going to compete for the division. We're going to be at the top of the NFC, up there with the Eagles, with the Lions. And in reality, the season didn't really play out like that. In reality, they actually dropped a tier below the Lions, the Vikings, and the Eagles. So I think from a confidence standpoint coming into the season, you had people saying that Jordan Love was a top 5, top 7 quarterback in the NFL. You have that type of confidence. You have the confidence of those weapons really turning up this season. Christian Watson turning into a wide receiver 1 this year. Jaden Reed has turned out to be a pretty solid player, but obviously the expectations for him, guys like Wicks, different guys like that, right? So you get to that point, and then the season kind of plays out. Jordan Love has his turnover issues right at the beginning of the season, kind of clean that up. But in order to clean up the turnover issues, it means you had to be less risky through the air. It means you did have to run the ball with Josh Jacobs a little bit more. It means that the attempts did go down for Jordan Love, but in, a little bit opposite fashion than the Eagles doing that with Jalen in a sense. It didn't really work for the Packers. They need Jordan Love to go out there and throw for 300 yards. They need him to throw for multiple passing touchdowns, and they need him to not turn over the ball while doing so. And I think that's the difference between these two teams. Yes, maybe I'm saying that the Packers are asking a little bit more or a lot more from Jordan Love than what they asked from Jalen. You can measure the ground game that Jalen puts in with his legs as well, right? But whatever. I'm saying what I'm saying. I do think there is a little bit more on Jordan Love's plate with the Green Bay Packers in order for them to be successful, especially against the best teams in the NFL and in the NFC, which we saw all season. You pointed it out on the last show. They've lost every time they faced the top opponent in the NFC. And it's as simple as that, man. They went 2-3 over their last 5. Their 3 losses outside of Chicago were to Minnesota and then Detroit, the 2 other top teams in the NFC. So I think, when I look at the biggest difference is not only the outside perspective's confidence in the Green Bay Packers, because if this game, if somebody told these national heads at the beginning of the season that it would be the Packers and the Eagles in the wild card round, they would have told us that the Eagles are going home in that sense. Whereas now you get to this week and the national pundits are kind of changing their tune. Like you said, Acho's got Jalen Hurts as his most trusted quarterback, right? Like, people are changing their tunes now that we finally got here to the postseason, just so we can't look back and call them out, which is fine. But I would say that there's probably something similar going on in the locker room as well. When you can't beat the top talent, that's going to weigh in on your mindset, man.
I'm glad you brought that up, because as you were going through that with Jordan Love, I was kind of going back through those 5 games that we keep addressing, right? The 0-5 mark against the Eagles, Vikings, and Lions this year.
Yeah.
And I think you said exactly what I was going back and researching. I don't think that they can get what they need from Jordan Love. And what I mean by that is what you laid out. Can you get the hero ball?
Yeah.
Without the negatives, without the turnovers? You can't. In the 5 games that Jordan Love has played against the Eagles, Vikings, and Lions this year, he has thrown interceptions in 3 of those 5. I did not check fumbles on all of them, but 3 of those 5 he has thrown picks. That first time against the Vikings, he fumbled and threw 3 interceptions, okay? In the 2 games he has not turned the ball over, for all those people that have loved passing yards when talking about Jalen, he was 12 for 20 for 206 against the Detroit Lions in a loss. And in this final game against the Vikings, he was 19 of 30 for 185. You can't get it. You can't get the big time play. And you mentioned talent. He's shorthanded. He's on the road. They don't have Christian Watson. They don't have the level of talent that
his elbows messed up. Whatever's going on there.
He has to go out there. Can Jordan Love throw for 275 plus, be efficient, and not turn the ball over? I think the proof is in the pudding. He hasn't done it. In the games he protects the football, he can't crack 200 passing yards, which apparently means a lot to everybody around here.
Yeah.
And the games that he throws for 400 passing yards, he throws 3 interceptions. You cannot get the good. You cannot just get the good without the bad when it comes to Jordan Love. And that's the biggest difference, man.
Yeah.
We say it all the time. There's levels to this. There's levels to talent. You're right. Like, Jaden Reed's turned out to be a good player. In fact, Jaden Reed kind of torched the Eagles in Brazil.
He did.
He was the one that scored like that 70-yarder when C.J. Gardner-Johnson slipped on the tackle and everything. He had an end around, I believe, to start the game. He played incredibly well. Josh Jacobs was the 3rd, highest rushing. It was Saquon, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs this year. They found something there. Tucker Kraft, okay, peace. There's levels to the talent thing, and Jordan Love doesn't have enough in him to walk into Philadelphia, protect the football, and do what needs to be done through the air to beat this Eagles team.
Plus, he's beat up.
Correct. Like, he's going to play. We know this. He's going. It's
rolling elbow is messed up. That's not ideal going into a postseason match against a defensive line that likes to get after it, a defense that likes to get after it. And Yeah, no Christian Watson. I think that takes your not their big play guy. Obviously, Jaden Reed is a big play guy as well, but it just takes another weapon off the board, man. When you look at what's dangerous on
When
their
they're
offense,
already slim.
yeah, against a defense that Josh Jacobs is a really good running back, but knock on wood, we contained Derrick Henry somehow and Lamar Jackson. I trust our rush defense against Josh Jacobs and the lack of weapons outside, man. I think that's another big part about it as well.
I'm glad you brought that up because I kind of want to transition to the Eagle side of things. What's the difference from week 1 to now when you're addressing this matchup and this Eagles team specifically?
There's a lot more on this side.
There is. And it starts, I think, with what you just mentioned. Because, boy, was I wrong and impatient when it comes to Vic Fangio and this defensive line. You could probably go back and check my Twitter. There's probably some tweets about how this team can't win a Super Bowl in week 2 because this defensive line creates no pressure and can't stop the run.
Yeah.
You go back to that week 1 matchup, Josh Jacobs averaged over 5.5 yards per carry. And then by a man by the name of Emmanuel Wilson came in for 4 carries and torched us for a first down every carry. He averaged 11.5 yards per.
It was infuriating. I remember
They could not stop the rushing attack of the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love was only sacked 1 time in this game. That was Malik Willis that ended up getting sacked by Zach Bond to end the game. But Jordan Love 1 sack for a loss of 5 yards in this game. The line and this defense created no pressure. They let up big plays with miscommunications on the back end. That is the number 1 mother effing difference when it comes to this matchup, dude. This Eagles defense is fucking 2 different sides of the coin when it comes to now.
Yeah, 100%, man. You hinted on some of them just with the mistakes, in the secondary in that game. Just getting your rookie CBs acclimated, right? You got the Cooper DeJean. 1, remove Avonte Maddox and insert Cooper DeJean. So then that's 1, right? But then also Quinyon just getting acclimated, getting more.
Even though he was a dog in this game.
He was a dog. He was a dog. I think he didn't get beat for the touch. It must have been Slay, but nonetheless, Slay's played a lot better as well. The bigger thing is that these players, the personnel, they're used to the scheme now. They've mastered it, right? They're one of the top defenses in the NFL. And the big thing is how they've acclimated to Vic Fangio's scheme overall. You got a career year from Zach Bond. He's going to be flying in the postseason, right? Nakobe Dean had a great year. Jalen Carter obviously made All-Pro. Jordan Davis out there making plays against the Giants in a meaningless game. He's going to be ready to go against Josh Jacobs. This defense has become acclimated to Vic Fangio's scheme. They trust it. CGJ, that back line, all of those guys are all in sync. Yeah, it's going to be completely different. And the other thing that I'll throw to you, man, is they've played them earlier this season. And it's the same thing on the other side, except I think when you let's look at Jaden Reed, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that is something you can go to every time, a 70-yard touchdown, or is that just a blown coverage?
Correct.
Blown coverages can happen any game. I get it. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying that versus 100 on the ground from Saquon with 2 tutties.
Yeah.
Which one is more sustainable? Right. A Jaden Reed, end around for 33 yards and a touchdown, or A.J. Brown, 10 targets, 5 receptions, over 100 yards, a tutty. What is more sustainable? What do you trust more? And I think that's a big thing coming into this game as well. We're not going to be surprised by Jaden Reed anymore. We've seen it. We know we got to watch this guy on the end arounds and deep shots down the field. We got to watch him.
Jaden Reed had 4 receptions in this game for averaging 34.5 yards per reception.
2 plays.
Touchdown.
2 plays. Correct. There were 2 plays that he made.
That's just not going to be sustainable. And if those things happen, that's why Fangio's defense is so good, man. You better cross the goal line when you break that big play. Because one thing they showed you all year long, and they even showed you back in this package, as kind of down as we've been on this defense, they gave up one of their season highs, 29 points in this week. They let up big plays. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't get after the passer. They were not good. However, Jalen Hurts still owed that unit defense, still owed that unit dinner after this one because of how clutch they were in the red zone. If you break a big play against the defense, you better cross the goal line on that play, because if you don't, you are not going to get many more cracks at it because they lock the fuck in. And that's just not sustainable. Like, if I look back, man, if you tell me, if Jaden Reed has a 60-yard touchdown, like, I just don't, like, you're not going to have many of those plays in this ball game on either side, more than likely, but especially on the Packers side. So, yeah.
You mentioned locking in. Jalen Hurts turnovers since this game, right? Interceptions, right? 2 interceptions in this game. 1 interception for Jordan Love. Jordan Love ends up having 10 over the course of the rest of the season. Jalen has 3. The turnovers. Jalen cut the turnovers completely, pretty much since bye. You pointed this out before the show.
Before the show, he has 1 pick since the bye week, all the way back in week 5 when the 10-game winning streak started, and that is in a 34-6 victory in Dallas over the Cowboys. It was like on the first or second drive of the game, and you're like, what is happening? That's the only time Jalen Hurts threw an interception since the week 5 bye week.
Had 2 interceptions in week 1 and a fumble lost. And he had another fumble that was recovered by the offense. So 4 potential turnovers in that week 1 victory.
It was dreadful.
That's right. Yeah, it was bad, man. It wasn't great.
He had a few he dropped one in the bucket to AJ, which he ended, I think it was the first play of the second half where he took it 70 yards. He had the first corner pylon touchdown to Saquon, which was a nice throw. He made throws. You could see the arm talent from Jalen, but you came away with that game being like, man, can we trust this dude? And all of that got put to bed. So you're right? Like, what's changed? The defense, obviously, basically on all 3 levels. Like you were running through it. Like, Zach Bond was a monster in this game. It was just coming out party, essentially. But if my memory serves me correct, Nakobe Dean was not good in this ball game.
No.
Got mixed up in coverages and exposed a little bit.
We came out of this game completely, like, worried about this defense and specifically stopping the run.
Yeah.
You had the Emmanuel Wilson carries to basically relieve Josh Jacobs, who also had 5 yards per carry, 5+ yards per carry himself. And Emmanuel Wilson's coming in and getting 11 yards per carry, 40 yards on 4 carries. It was extremely frustrating to watch. So Nakobe Dean was a major part in that because he's been a major part in making the unit so much better. That's how you know. I do agree, man. This is a completely different squad since week 1. And even in that week, you were still able to come away with the W. Like I don't know. It's not to create this false sense of like confidence, but it is interesting. It's like I've been saying, man. When
it's not false sense. It's just pure.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
it is what it is. Like, I look at this Green Bay team and I look at what they do.
Fired up, Rocket.
Right, he's getting fired up in the background, man. He's getting me riled up. I'm about to start barking, but no, you look at this team right now, man, versus the Packers, and they're very similar. The Packers do have a very solid defense. Their defense is pretty good. The Eagles, they have a good defense. On the other end, you have a great running back. Like, Josh Jacobs is a great running back. Saquon is like elitely great, whatever you want to call him. Like, he is above Josh Jacobs, but they're both great, elite running backs.
Yeah, right.
But you look at it, from that sense. Okay, so maybe equal here, right? Not really. Saquon versus Josh. Defense versus their defense. But maybe. Then you get to Jalen Hurts and the ability to use his legs and how dynamic it makes our offense. You get to A.J. Brown. You get to Smitty. You get to Goddard. And it's where it separates, man. And we haven't even talked about our offensive line on this show at all.
Which, again, is the best in football. I want to go back to the confidence point one more time before we get into those position battles, because that's what this all comes down to, man. It was D-Rab saying earlier, the difference is we got better since week 1. They did not. That's the whole point, I think, to me, is you want head-to-head? Well, you already beat them if you wanted, like, any proof or any example that you can play with this team. You already beat them head-to-head. And then you go from week 1. The Philadelphia Eagles have been the better team each and every single week across 18 weeks than the Green Bay Packers have. And then we get to the talent. And that's kind of to transition into what you were just talking about. the closest thing this Packers team has to an Eagles like position group would be running back. The only issue is we have the best in the world at the moment. So like we're 1 year 3, but the gap still from 1 to 3 this season was astronomical because he was going to make fucking history. So that's still not all that close. And you get into the offensive line, which is probably arguably still the best offensive line in the National Football League. You get into the quarterback department. You talked about the turnovers and the big plays and everything like that. Let's talk other skill positions. I mean, do we even have to address it, or do people that wear cheeseheads still believe it? Jimmy, you still believe it? There he is. I knew we'd find one. And hey, come on in. Come on in. Jimmy, I'll tell you this.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to read. Good.
You have a 0.02% chance of smoking the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday.
We do everything better than you. We do everything better than the Packers.
It's not close. It's not close. You are not better in a singular. Then say something.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Change my mind. Yeah. Like that's fine. Give me one position group you guys are better in. Give me an example back in week 1 that you can take away when you lost to us in a different country.
What's going to go better this
playing
time?
In the link when it got counted as a home game for us. Take the regular season when you guys went 0-5 against us, Minnesota, and Detroit. 0.02%. Now, I am just having fun.
We were even on a neutral field.
Upset, but my point is just come in, give me one example of why are the Green Bay Packers going to smoke Philly? I won't even.
Anything can happen. To be clear, anything can happen.
Sure.
But what is most likely to happen? It's not the Packers smoking the birds.
I'll give Jimmy the floor here if he's still here and he didn't get upset. Give me a point. Give me a valid reason why you think you're going to beat or smoke the Eagles. And I won't even I'll pull it up on the screen. I'll read it and I won't even come back at it. I'll let you get your point out there as to why the Packers can or are going to smoke the Eagles.
Like smoke the Eagles.
Yeah.
But we're yapping.
Yeah. I haven't said anything about smoking the Packers. I just said we're going to definitely
beat them. We're going to win the game. Yes.
But he came in at a perfect time because if there are any other Packers fans watching or are going to watch, just try. All I want to know is give me an example of what you think you guys are better at, what you do better, something that's happened this season, any example at all as to why
I am curious.
Packers can beat the Eagles.
Yeah, I am curious, honestly, because their quarterback's injured. It's not as bad as the Eagles' collapse last year, not by any means. But I mean, down the stretch, not being able to win big games that matter and cause you seeding to let's ask this: if you got to choose your opponent, if you looked 4 games ago, right? And said, we got to win this many games or this game and this game to not play this team. You would have rather played the Eagles than somebody else in the field?
Right. I mean, maybe that's...
You would have rather not won your division? I don't know. I don't think they had a choice.
I just think this Packers team is... Do I want to use the word? I'll use the word. I think you're a little soft. I think when you're talking about what the Eagles have done this year, again, we're talking about evidence. We're talking about just reflecting on the season, what has been done. The Eagles have been bullies all year. When they walk into Cincinnati against that offense, when they walk into Baltimore, when they walk into the Rams who are hosting a playoff game, when they beat the Packers earlier in the year, when they beat the shit out of the Steelers at home, they have been bullies. On the flip side, you have a team that has not proven they can beat a Super Bowl contending football team. And the closest opportunity they've had, Scott, they could have helped themselves out and helped us out. They could have kept if you want to be honest, the Green Bay Packers played a part in why Saquon Barkley didn't go for the record. They could have helped us out and themselves. We could have been playing for a 1 seed last year, last week, playing our starters. They could be avoiding coming to Philly in the wild card round. And the closest thing they had to a playoff game, they pooped their pants. Sam Darnold, the same Sam Darnold that you just watched get ran over by the Lions last week, torched the Green Bay Packers the week prior, and Jordan Love threw for $185.
Yeah, it's funny.
There's no evidence. There's nothing you can throw out there to me outside of anything can happen any given Sunday. Sure, it's sports. It's football. It's win or go home situation. 60 minutes on the line. Anything can happen. But when I'm asking, like, give me something why you're confident, because be honest, Scotty, would you be confident if roles were reversed? If the Packers were the Eagles in this scenario and the Eagles were the Packers, we were the 11-win team. They beat us this year. We haven't beaten a good team, etc. If they had our roster, we had theirs, we had Jordan Love, would you feel confident that we are going to beat the Packers, or would you say, let's just hope we beat the Packers?
If we were healthy, which they're not, maybe I would say, yeah, I think we have a good chance of beating the Packers, right? But at the state that they're in, like what, like injured throwing arm Jordan Love's about to come into the brick cold link and light up the Philadelphia Eagles defense. I'll believe it when I see it. But like I guess the calling card for them, I guess what you would hone in on is, we're going to go run the football. It's cold weather. We're going to, out tough them. And to your point, man, you've already like barked up the tree and got like knocked back down. Like the Vikings just did that. But then the Vikings just tried to bark up the Detroit tree and they got knocked back down because there's levels. Meanwhile, you have a team in Philly, and I'll go back to this win until we, get our playoff victory under our belt this weekend. I'm going to go back to this win because it was a very important one to me. When we went into Baltimore and beat that Baltimore Ravens team in Baltimore,
down 9-0.
That was beyond impressive, man. It wasn't a game.
And then flip the page and just beat the shit out of them for the next 3 quarters.
It's a game that they needed. We needed. Everybody needed it, right? And we went into their house and took that shit. You're going against there's not a more dynamic running back and quarterback duo, especially in a run game, outside of maybe Saquon and Jalen Hurts, than Lamar and Derrick Henry. And that's just, I don't know, man. That's where I kind of, when I look at the Eagles, unless they come out and don't perform to their expectations, that's how the Packers will win. If the Eagles come out, turn the ball over 4 times, then the Packers will win.
From the Washington Commanders game.
If we're executing, we're going to win because we're better, and that's just what the season has proven.
The way is the Eagles and the lack of Eagles, meaning injuries, right?
Let me ask you this.
Head gets put in the turf again. Well, then it might be a long day for Tanner McKee or Kenny Pickett, okay?
Let me ask you this.
Barring that aside, no.
Where are you at with Nick Sirianni going into this game? Play calling, decision making, all of it.
I'm fine. I mean, I'm bought into the fact that he's staying. He's doing what we hoped he would do. I think it is Kellen Moore's offense at this point in time. I think the struggles of Jake Elliott kind of give Nick a longer leash because in certain scenarios and certain spots on the field, am I really going to be pounding the table to take points on a 53-yard field goal and, in a 2-point game? I don't know. So it gives him a little longer leash than he had earlier in the season. Agreed, Martian. Nick is fine. Like I think Nick Sirianni, since barking at the fans back in week 6 at home against Cleveland, has completely turned this thing around. He is has the highest winning percentage in Eagles coaching history through the first 4 or 5 years. He has the second most highest winning percentage of any coach across his first 4 years. We're back in the playoffs. I think we've had 3 straight seasons of 11 or more wins. I saw a tweet from Derek Gunn earlier. I don't even want to get into this conversation because, again, I don't see any point in bringing any negativity to the conversation. He's basically saying, if the Eagles were to lose in the first round, what does Nick Sirianni's job security look like?
I was going to ask you that.
Say it. I know everything I just said. He should be fired. You can't lose in the wild card round at home as 6-point favorites with this roster. He
14 wins. Fired.
With that said, it's not going to happen, so I don't even have to get into it. But That is what it has to be, man.
Yeah, I do agree with what Jeff said, man. The Eagles would have to get out of their element, right? Throw the ball with Jalen 35 plus times for no damn reason.
Right.
Like
Ignore
that's
Saquon for some reason.
That's how you lose a game, right? Like that's the
and this to me is the biggest difference of I think let me ask you this. What do you think? Are they tied? What do you rank higher? The defense being the drastic change, or like Jalen, right? Like Jalen 3-4 turnovers in week 1 and against his team, 1 interception since the bye. That's going to play. That's a factor, dude, when it comes to postseason ball. You win the turnover battle. You run the football. You stop the run. You win a lot of playoff football games with that formula. So I don't know what I view as the more important thing, but I do think the difference in this defense, because we came in this year saying what, man? With all this talent on offense, the defense just had to be what? Middle of the pack?
Yeah.
I mean, if this defense was the 13th ranked defense in football with this offense, that's a formula for success. Scotty, they're arguably the best, most dominant team in defense in the league.
It's a tough question. It's a tough question because I think our defense got significantly better, obviously, by Jeff's point, right? 25 to number 1, basically. I don't know if they're actually like number one, but they're definitely in the top 3 defenses.
A lot of categories there.
But I think when you look at the Packers specifically, where do I think they hold more talent? I think their defense has more talent than their offense, which their offense is what gets talked about a lot more, right?
But I think Jair Alexander for the year, and it's like,
I think their defense is actually the better unit. You do have Xavier McKinney in that secondary that led the way with interceptions this year. So they do got guys back there that can make plays. They got guys like Rashawn Gary on the defensive line that can get in the backfield and make plays. So I do think Jalen Hurts' trajectory, even though I don't think that, and this isn't to it's not to throw dirt on Jalen. It's not like that. I'm just trying to phrase it correctly without dissing Jalen. But the defense has just improved more over the season than Jalen has, if that makes sense.
I mean,
the defense is a lot better than it was in that game compared to how much better Jalen was in that game versus the season on. Not to say that Jalen wasn't better. He obviously was. He only threw 3 more interceptions the rest of the year. So I'm just really praising the defense is what I'm doing. But I think when you look at the Packers specifically, this answer could change from opponent to opponent. But their defense is what poses the biggest threat. Their defense is what can bail their offense out. And it's not that our defense can't. It's just that it shouldn't have to.
Right. So I'm glad Jeff said this. And by the way, Jeff, if you're not already, subscribe to the channel. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we do pregame shows on the weekend. We appreciate you. But
I like Jeff.
I like Jeff a lot.
I like Jeff. Jeff Fox. Yeah, I like
him. This Eagles offense in the week 1 of the Kellen Moore, Saquon Barkley figuring everything out, Nick Sirianni still meddling era, Jalen Hurts turns the ball over 3 times. This offense still scored 34 points, basically on the road against this Packers unit that was even healthier because they had a true number 1 corner that held A.J. Brown to 5 receptions on 10 targets. They don't have Jair. The Eagles are at home. By the way, for everyone out there that wants to look at different metrics and stuff, the only thing that matters, and this, I remember the tweet today, Mark Herron Jr., our man Mark, the Eagles are 11-0, scoring 29 points per game on offense when Jalen Hurts, Lane Johnson, and A.J. Brown start and finish games together this season. This team scored 34 with having all of those issues all the way back in the start of this. The Packers cannot stop this Eagles offense. Not even sure they could do it a little bit. I agree with you. He has to protect football. We'll talk obviously more about the actual game and the keys on Friday and Sunday for sure. But that is obviously a humongous thing, especially with the way the defense is turning teams over now, right?
Yeah.
Go back to that Washington game. We turned Washington over 5 times. If Kenny Pickett doesn't throw that interception, the Eagles probably don't lose the game, right? It's just 1 interception. Even if you still win the differential, 1 one spotty turnover, one big play the other way can change things. So just beating them in that area, Jalen protecting the ball as well is going to be fucking huge. Also, let's catch the ball when we're open. Speaking of 2 losses on the season, let's catch the football.
But man,
once again, Super Bowl, let's catch the football.
Once again, it's good that these things, that's what the experiences in the regular season are for. You had big games. So, hey, hold on. Let me hold the phone here. Yeah, Smitty dropped some. Goddard dropped some. Saquon dropped some. But A.J. Brown did not drop a pass this season. He's the only player in the NFL to do so, or to not do so, I guess you would say. But no, Smitty, Saquon, they get to learn from their mistakes during the regular season. Mind you, the very minuscule mistakes, but they did cost us a game or two. If you want to attribute it to one play or pick one play that sticks out from those losses. So just taking those lumps on the chin, right? Having that loss so recently against Washington, even though Jalen goes out in that game, Smitty still has a chance to end that game.
Yep.
And he didn't. And it shows you what can happen when you don't close the door. Shows you what can happen when you don't capitalize on turnovers and score points off them. They've even with a 3-loss season, they got just the right amount of learning opportunities, if that makes sense. So I am excited about what this team's going to do. We get to see Goddard come back. I think that's something that isn't going to be talked about too much, but could end up making a big ass difference.
Yeah, dude.
Just because of the middle of their defense is apparently,
it's just
according to Mina Kimes, the middle of their defense is where you expose them. Sounds like slant territory for AJ and Smitty. Sounds like Goddard over the middle. It sounds like Saquon running game.
Look, I know that we have definitely had our fair share of frustrations over this season and past with Dallas Goedert. The dude's like never healthy. The dude is guaranteed to miss a third of the regular season, okay? But he's been reliable in the postseason before. Him and Jalen in big-time moments go back to the fucking Super Bowl, go back to the divisional round against the Giants that same year, had big-time moments together, big-time third down conversions together, and the stats may not show it this year. You know, you got Saquon and AJ and Smitty, and there's going to be games where one of them, you know, where Smitty might only have 2 targets, whatever. Just having that extra Pro Bowl level talent out there as almost a fucking decoy. Like, do you know, teams just don't have this level of talent. It's why we were so high on this team this year. Everyone expects, oh, well, you know, what was the one season we had, all 3 of them go for 1,000 yards or something like that? Or Goddard went for like 900, Smitty and AJ went for 1,000, Sanders went for 1,000. That just doesn't happen, especially when a running back goes for 2,000. So, yeah, the stats might not pop off the paper. There's games where Goddard doesn't get targeted. There's games where Smitty doesn't get targeted. AJ's targets are low, whatever. You have too much talent where they can't try to cut the snake's head off anywhere.
Yeah.
You cannot just load the box against Saquon Barkley. You're going to get beat. You cannot try to just take away A.J. Brown because you're going to get beat. There's too much fucking talent. It's why this team is so good.
A.J. Brown, even on a down year, you know, it's what, four games total? Still cracked 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. So, yeah, to your point, it's not going to happen every year where each and every guy has a career season. I don't think Smitty hit 1K this year.
Go watch week 1.
It's still nice to have that threat.
Do me a favor. Go watch week 1 tape. This number 7 defense you're talking about.
Yeah, what are
lost
you talking
Jair
about,
Alexander.
man?
I lost Jair Alexander. Gave up 34 to this Eagles team when we turned the ball over.
And we're not disputing that the Packers have talent on defense.
No, if he was listening, you said that 5 times.
I think that's their strong suit. Like, I think that's where your strength is. But it's also where the Eagles' strength is. And I think our strength is a little bit stronger than your strength. And I think that's just the difference, man. And then you go to the other side and you go, you know, defense versus offense. I think your offense is, one, a little bit beat up. But even when it's not beat up, when they're healthy, they're still void of talent. It's fair to say that.
Isn't this like a big-time mobster's name? Am I missing this up or something? Jimmy Hoffa is
sounds gangster.
Like Sounds
gangster. I can respect it. No, your defense is good. We're not saying it's not good, man.
Never said it's not good. But I'm asking you because, again, like, Jimmy, use these, okay? I asked you what makes you confident that you're going to beat the Eagles. This defense that you keep throwing out Edgerrin Cooper's name and check his PFF grade about. We already played you, and you gave up 34 points even when you caused 3 turnovers against us. You still gave up 34 in a loss. So what makes you confident that Edgerrin Cooper and Carrington fucking Valentine over here are going to do against this Eagles offense on Sunday afternoon? I'm not asking about I'm not asking about being ranked number 7. What makes you confident?
Why didn't Edgerrin Cooper stop Sam Darnold or Jared Goff?
Right. Any of the 5 times they played a top team in the league, why didn't they come away with a win in any of them?
Like stop them and win your division or something. Like, yeah, I'm not trying to hate on the Packers. It's like, it's just one of those things where, like you said, they were getting compared to the Eagles coming into this season, and it was a little. They were being put
jumping
ahead, man. You're jumping ahead a bit. You had Jordan Love over Jalen Hurts stuff, and yeah, let's just slow down. Let's slow down because consistency matters, experience matters, all of it matters, man. And yeah, I think this is where we are, man. We go into this game. Eagles are 5-point favorites going into this matchup. Yeah. Jalen just got cleared out of concussion protocol today, and they're 5-point favorites. So
up as
3.5. We'll see how that line moves, nonetheless. But it's not that I don't respect the Packers. I just have we have very, very high expectations for the Philadelphia Eagles. You might not respect the Packers. Okay. I respect the Packers. I do. I respect their fan base. I think they have a very good, big, rowdy fan base. I respect it. I respect their organization. I think they do things the right way.
Let me see this.
I think they do things the right way.
It's not that I don't respect the Packers in that way. I don't respect the level of talent the Green Bay Packers are bringing to Lincoln Financial Field.
That's
what
fair.
I don't respect. That's why I don't fear them.
Are they lacking talent, or are the Eagles just so talented?
Yeah, that's another great point. Well, no, I think they're lacking talent because you would have won a game this year against any of in those 5 scenarios if you were more talented than what I think you are. But
yeah, I feel that
they can't cover all the weapons. They absolutely cannot. They didn't do it all the way back in week 1. They're damn sure not going to do it at the link on Sunday. Jordan Love is not better than Jalen Hurts.
I'm saying 4.5 right now, Martian, but it'll probably move to 6.5 by.
That's right, Martian.
Sunday. Yeah, line that shit up because that's it. Hey, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Like, if Jalen, let's cancel the quarterbacks out. If Jalen and Jordan are just having shit days, it's cold out, they're looking like little soft bitches, right? Let's line that shit up and see what these offensive lines can do. Yep. And we'll see who wins that way. How about that?
Just do. Let's see what Quignon's doing out there. Let's see what Cooper's
line
doing.
It up then. Yeah. I'm excited, man. I'm trying not to jump into too much on this show, quite honestly.
I know. I'm trying not to.
Because we got to get through the rest of the week. We got Friday, and then we got a pregame show to get to on Sunday as well.
Yeah, Jimmy, subscribe, brother. Come hang out the rest of the week.
Have some fun. We'll have some beers this weekend, some brews. But do you have anything else for us tonight, man? I don't
think so, man.
Got anything off the top of my head?
No.
Sixers suck.
That's true. I was just thinking about this game like obviously I'm very, very excited for the game.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know. I'm not trying to look past Green Bay. I'm not that naive. But this isn't the Washington Commanders we're talking about. It's can't look past anybody. But we'll be all right. Legacy run. No Joel. No PG tonight. I guess that foot actually is an issue. Which what are you going to what are not Martian, but what are people going to say? Well, she actually was injured and you were causing a big deal. Oh yeah, great, another fucking injury.
Yeah.
What else is new?
Yeah. Oh my God, PG. I don't even know if we. Yeah, I don't feel like talking about PG, man.
I'll throw you guys something just to let it linger. Before we get into this team in a couple of weeks coming up, man. if it makes you guys feel any better, the Phillies still have the second highest odds in the National League to win the World Series and the second highest odds to win the NL East this year. So by all regards, the Phillies are still a very highly and respected baseball club. To Vegas and a lot of other people. So and then
was it Arias I saw the other day?
Luis Arias, I did see.
Yeah.
I have no idea how much weight is to that or not. But
yeah.
You go out and give me Luis Arias.
I'm signing me up. That will get me all the way back.
That dude hit
this
for
contact hitter, man.
Contact
hitter, consistency from the plate.
Just take one more move. Go give me one more infielder. We'll talk about it. Not to start a whole new conversation, but like MLB Network did a like top 10 or top however many they ranked center fielders. Take a guess where Brandon Marsh ranks. If you've seen it, just let me know. But if you haven't,
I haven't.
Take a guess. Let's say 1 through 20. Where do you think Brandon Marsh ranks in center fielders in the majors?
And this is just like overall ranking of center field.
Yeah, just that position. Center field.
Batting, outfield, all included.
Fielding, yep.
20, 19?
6.
Really? Wow.
Now that goes to a lack of talent at the center fielder position.
At the center field position, okay? Fair.
But that just shows you how bad that position is in general and across the majors, because the Phillies platoon center field for a guy that can't hit, and he's the 6th best in the majors. So I swear to God, dude, I'll send you the video. It's on MLB Network.
So you're telling me give Marsh a full season in center field? And
no, I don't really think I'm telling you that at all.
Hey, Marsh, I'm with you, 6. But I mean, I'm not going to sit here and name you 5 center fielders that are better.
Maybe you can give him a whole season. I agree, Jose. That's why the ending of this past year sucks. However, a second Lombardi parade down Broadway would might just
make us forget it all.
make us forget about everything in my life.
Forget everything. Anything negative in life, forget about it. If the Eagles hold that Lombardi up, man. This Sunday is the beginning of it.
I just went on a bender over the holiday season. I will go on the biggest bender of my lifetime if the Philadelphia Eagles bring home their second Lombardi.
Oh, man.
But
give March a full season. Let's go, Sixers. Beat the Wizards.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude.
Jordan Poole career game. I agree, March. The Sixers are somehow 11.5-point favorites tonight without Joel and PG. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, but you know what happens, bro? You know what happens, though? You bet this, if you bet the Wizards,
they'll blow them out.
Sixers will win by 16.
Yeah. It's 10.5.
If we don't touch it, or you bet the Sixers, they'll lose outright.
They'll win. Yeah, they'll win by enough.
Yeah. So, sorry, man. It's an interesting point. You know what? Maybe Friday we'll make a list, right? You guys can bring them in the comment section as well. Me and Scotty will bring them.
Yeah.
We'll make a list of, like, since the Eagles have these big time Super Bowl aspirations this year, what are you willing to give up either in your life or in Philly sports? Like, seriously, like not like I'd cut off my left leg for an Eagles Super Bowl. No, like, give me serious things. He says he wouldn't care if the Sixers traded Tyrese Maxey if the Eagles win the Super Bowl in February. What are you okay with giving up? We'll talk about that on Friday afternoon as we head into the weekend. 11.5-point favorites is a lot. Missing your two. Well, not your two best players. Sorry, I was giving Paul George a little too much credit there.
That's a lot, even if we had.
Yeah, I know. Really, with how they've been playing. And they're also, bro, aren't we still missing like KJ, Kyle Lowry, and maybe Drummond? Like,
they're beat up at least. And I mean, they got Kuz, right? You got Kuzma and Jordan Poole, dynamic duo.
I don't know how we got down this rabbit hole. But
I'm staying away from the game. I might not even
dig our way out of here. For myself, for Scotty, guys, there's over 30 of you in here right now. Appreciate all the newer people. I know Craig's been in here a couple times. Jose's been in here a bunch over the last couple weeks and months. But Jeff, Jimmy Moffa, if you want to come on back, brother, come on back. Subscribe to the channel. We appreciate each and every one of you. And again, I keep saying it. We say it a lot, but no one seems to want to help us out. And since it is Eagles playoff season, maybe I'll really start to push it. We will do a giveaway for you guys. Yeah. Eagles merch, jersey. We'll figure out something. Get us to our first 200 subscribers. Let's continue to climb. Just let's get us there. Every time we say it, a couple new people subscribe, and then nothing else goes on. Let's get to 200, and we'll keep going on. For myself, for Scotty, for DSM, have a great rest of your Wednesday. See you guys on Friday. Subscribe.
Go Birds.